and I have a confession. I literally have no idea what I'm doing. Probably just a mistake. Slipped through the net. Just got lucky, so. Who, me? No, wrong person. That was just a fluke. Yeah, there was some kind of mix-up. Dumb luck. I shouldn't say that. Nothing to do with me. I really don't deserve that. I'm not who they think I am. I am really not smart enough. I can't do that. I'm not really experiencing of deceiving, and I have a feeling. Fake it till you make it. I really just said that. Hello, I'm Leah and welcome to my channel, Legally Braids. If any of those feelings ring true to you, then know that A, you are not alone, and B, there is a way to manage those negative thoughts and feelings. Or at least as a Cambridge University graduate and now a Magic Circle lawyer who has experienced feelings of self-doubt, I've learned how to turn my inner self-critic into my inner self-cheerleader. In a way that has propelled me forward rather than paralyzed me along my career journey to date. And in this video, I'm going to be telling you exactly how. So whether you are an aspiring solicitor or a fellow young professional, keep watching because this video is for you. Imposter syndrome. Now look, I am not a medical professional, nor am I a mental health clinician, so I will not be delving into the psychology or the neuroscience behind imposter syndrome. But broadly speaking, it is a collection of feelings that your accomplishments are illegitimate, that they are due to luck rather than your ability, or they are as a result of you deceiving others into thinking that you are more competent than you actually are. Whilst imposter syndrome can affect any of us, it is known to have a significant effect on certain marginalized groups. Studies have shown that women of color, particularly Black women, and the LGBTQ+ community are most at risk. I don't always feel like I am good enough to be a lawyer. Literally every day. The reality is, despite sometimes feeling like an intellectual fraud,
you're hiding something and I smell fear.
I have learned to manage my imposter syndrome. And by that, I don't mean that I have busted it and kicked it to the curb, far from it. I've just learned to not only cope with it, but to harness it and to use it to my advantage. As a Black kid, I know that so many of us were constantly told that we would have to work twice as hard as our white counterparts in order for us to get ahead. So when you do finally reach a place of success or a position of power, it's hard to believe that you actually have made it. And you can quickly find yourself in spaces where you're explicitly told you don't belong, or you look around the room and by virtue of being part of that marginalized group, you feel like you don't belong, particularly in corporate culture. These things can all exacerbate the feelings of being an imposter. It was only last week that I was on a Zoom call and I was confronted by 7 middle-aged white men, all staring at me, looking for me to tell them what to do and when they needed to do it by. Did I have feelings of being an imposter? Did I freeze? You'll be able to work that one out by the end of this video. Studies show that imposter syndrome is prolific amongst legal professionals. And taking a step back, it is not hard to see why. Imposter syndrome is common amongst overachievers and perfectionists who find it hard to internalize their success and to truly accept it. The legal profession is somewhat synonymous with high expectations, high standards, an intolerance for mistakes, and sheer aversion to risk. It is no wonder so many lawyers suffer from chronic self-doubt. Now add corporate culture into the mix, where often these environments there is a pressure to achieve. You can be working long hours, you can be working on multi-jurisdictional deals in tight deadlines. The nature of the work at top-tier law firms is inherently complex. These types of factors can contribute to lawyers feeling as though they aren't good enough. Newcomers in particular can be under this false impression that senior lawyers don't ever mess up.
You're lying about I'm not a cat.
So how have I coped with all of this? I call it out. Talk about it. Verbalize your fears and your uncertainties aloud. Scream it from the top of the roof if you have to. Just know that you may get strange looks. Talking about these feelings aloud can be a way to acknowledge it and then to start talking back to those thoughts, to regain perspective and shift the energy away from negative self-critical feelings towards encouraging feelings. I have also discovered the power behind the word yet. I don't know how to draft this document yet. I don't know how to review this particular contract yet. I don't know how to draft this certain clause yet. In my experience, if you choose to speak about your feelings and these thoughts to a trusted advisor, they will likely give you support. And a common part of imposter syndrome is feeling like you're the only one that feels that way, whilst everybody else is just cruising along, it all comes naturally to them, and you're the fraud. So in addition to friends or family, I have found it super helpful to talk to a mentor about imposter feelings, particularly if they have an insight into the legal industry or the corporate world. Chances are they have also experienced similar feelings, or they know someone who has, and they might be able to share with you tools or tips for dealing with them successfully. By speaking with a mentor, they can use their experience to help you navigate certain specific situations, be it how to present to an audience, how to lead a call, speak with the client, how to prepare successfully for an interview. Imposter syndrome can be accompanied by feelings of anxiety and depression. So if it is getting a bit too much and overwhelming, I would encourage you to seek help from a mental health professional. As I said at the beginning, this is not something necessarily that you can eliminate in a quick fix. Imposter syndrome can crop up throughout our lives and be something that you have to work on continuously. In digging a bit deeper into imposter syndrome, I came across a story about the Neils. Basically, a famous author, Neil Gaiman, attended a party where other famous authors, writers, scientists, artists were invited, but Neil Gaiman didn't feel like he was qualified enough to be there. He then got talking to this other guy in the room who shared his first name. So as you can imagine, these two Neils were chatting, and the other Neil said to Neil Gaiman, I look around at this hall of people and I just think, what the heck am I doing here? All these amazing people and all the things that they've done. I just went where I was sent. And Neil Gaiman turned around to him and said, yes, but you were the first man on the moon.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I think that counts for something. So the point of the story is to show that if Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, can experience feelings of being an imposter, then why shouldn't any of us? Remind yourself of your accomplishments to date and use those memories to confront your imposter feelings. Whenever I feel out of my depth, I look back to a time where I felt like I couldn't do something and remind myself that I got through. The nature of the work at a top-tier law firm, combined with the fact that I'm still relatively junior, means that I'm presented with tasks almost every day that I have never done before. Often I think, I don't know how to do this. That is literally part of the challenge and the nature of working on cutting-edge deals or cases that are often global in their reach. And then when I reflect even further back into my past, around my university days, to have experienced self-doubt and feelings that I was out of my depth throughout those 3 years is even more of an accomplishment. I remember being super excited learning about Black feminism and applying that critical lens to one of my human geography essays completely off my own back. That was an example of me leaning into my difference and using it to my advantage. So as well as looking back into your past and maybe writing those past accomplishments down, record your successes on the go. I have found it particularly helpful now that I'm working to create a subfolder in my inbox called Career. And any bits of positive feedback I receive, be it internally or from a client, I drag and I drop that email into that little subfolder. And if ever I'm feeling unsure about something,
before, man, were talking tough. But where did the tough go?
I have a place to go that I can read and reflect and remind myself that I got this. And now on the theme of writing things down, I think it's equally important to write down what you are not qualified to do yet. This is a lot harder than writing down your accomplishments, of course, but it's really important to identify what you don't know yet. And this is not because you're impostering, but it's because you haven't had the experience or the opportunity to learn to do that thing. This can be helpful because I think sometimes with imposter syndrome, there's a sensation that you don't know so much, that list is infinite, endless. By writing it down, particularly within the scope of the task that you're doing, helps you regain perspective to understand that list is limited, and then allows you to kind of put a plan in place in terms of if you can't do it, who might be able to help you do it, or how you can learn how to do the thing you don't know how to do. And if you can identify people around you who can do that thing, you can ask yourself, how do they learn how to do that? Can I tap into the resources to learn how to do that too? Can I ask them for their help? People love to feel useful, in particular when they feel like they're the expert. And that then presents you an opportunity to learn the thing that you otherwise were not previously qualified to do. And that was not because of imposter syndrome, remember? It was because you hadn't yet had the opportunity to learn. Understanding what you can't do yet also links to getting feedback. Feedback can be really important in terms of helping you develop and grow. One of my top tips is not to wait until formal appraisals if you're working, or waiting till you get that rejection letter and just leaving it. Follow up with the graduate recruitment department for feedback. Ask them if there's anything that you are lacking, what exactly you should be focusing on for next time. Ask your manager for informal feedback after a specific project or a task. Don't wait until your annual appraisal. By that point, it is too late. And finally, ask yourself, what are the consequences of paralysis, of doing nothing, of being frozen by your own self-critical thoughts? What are you losing out on by doing that? By not applying for that job, by not going for that interview? And also remove yourself from the equation. What is someone else losing out on by you not showing up for that presentation, by you not helping out on that particular task? As a second-year geography student, I knew nothing about corporate law, about any kind of law for that matter. I could have been intimidated by people who were knee-deep in applications, who were wearing campus ambassador hoodies for certain law firms, and been paralyzed by my own self-doubt as to whether I'd be good enough to even apply to these firms, let alone become a lawyer. I would have lost out on so much. I will have covered it in my other videos in terms of the experience and benefits that I've received from pursuing this career path to date. And if I remove myself from the equation, I think a lot of people around me would have lost out on things. So ask yourself, if you stop and do nothing and give energy to these negative thoughts, what do you have to gain and what do you have to lose? 9 times out of 10, you have so much more to lose by giving in to those negative thoughts that tell you that you can't do something or that you're not good enough when you could at least try. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. If you have any requests, please mention them in the comments below. If you use any of the tips that I mentioned, I want to know how that goes for you. As I said before, it is all about sharing with each other our experiences, and I will catch you next time.